Uh, yeah, I mean Detroit area. Yeah.
All right, I'm just gonna assume that this is working. It's recording.
Yeah, it says that it is, so we're all good. Lance,
Hey.
we're literally looking at your forehead, and that's it.
Oh, can you see me now?
There you go. Yeah. So we're good to go. I got some questions here. I got some questions that I
let's do it.
Put down for the interview, and then any ad-libbing is 100% encouraged. Anything you want to add, anything at any time, man, because I'm just a fan, dude, and I just want to talk about the movie. I want to talk about being in filmmaking, stuff like that. So,
we appreciate it, man. I think you were the first one to upload a reaction video, period.
Yeah, I dug what you said about us, man. That was very cool of you, bro. That means a lot to me.
Dude, I just love movies, dude, and I love comic books, and I love, the whole anything combining the two is really exciting to me. So when I saw a movie about a Dark Horse version of The Mask, I was super excited. I just saw the thumbnail that you guys had up, and I was like, oh shit, what is this? Because it popped up in my feed at random. Like, I hadn't heard of the channel yet or anything. I don't know how long the trailer had been out, but it just happened to pop up because of my other likes or whatever, and I was like, oh, I gotta watch this thing. I watched it, and I was like, damn, dude, somebody finally did it, because I saw that there's been some other fan films of The Mask and stuff like that on YouTube, and
they're terrible.
Yeah, I had never watched any of them, but when I saw that, I was like, we'll give it a shot, and I watched it, and that was a legitimate. I did a reaction video to the trailer. That was the first thing I did, right. And that was 100% genuine reaction video. I know a lot of people like fake reaction videos and stuff like that, but I recorded myself as I watched it for the very first time, and it was something that really excited me. So,
I mean, I liked your reaction so much, I put it on my Facebook.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I didn't even notice that one.
Yeah, I did. I put it on my Facebook.
I think we put up on the fan page almost immediately.
Cool, man. That's awesome. That's awesome, because I do reaction videos. Like, that's something new that I've started. I've seen that it's I guess it's a trendy thing to do reaction videos, but I don't do it to everything. Like, I do it to stuff I'm genuinely into, like comic book movies,
Avengers.
Yeah, Avengers. There was what was that? Glass.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
I'm super excited about Glass. Like, honestly, I'm looking at it, and it doesn't look as appealing as the first two movies, to be honest. But it's something that I've been craving since I saw the end of
Split. Yeah.
Split. Yeah.
So it's actually what started a lot of this is after the trailer for Glass came out. We had gotten a call from Dark Horse when we were still partnered with them, and they said that so your trailer is getting more views than Glass is.
Really?
Yeah, and you're starting to get the attention in bad ways.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like, Glass is like, we got to shut these guys down.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Look, yeah, Glass, like, it just, that whole, the first film in that franchise, just there was no comic book movies at the time, not really.
Right.
You know what I mean? It wasn't a thing
with
yet.
the exception of maybe X-Men. Yeah.
Right. And I remember seeing that and be like, dude, this is a comic book movie. Like, this is what I've been wanting to see for a long time. Like, all throughout the 90s, I wanted comic book movies. And then when X-Men came out in 2000, that was a huge, huge deal for me,
Yeah, I think for a lot of people too. You know, we never went in this with the anticipation of it really being, I would say, a comic book movie, but
Right.
it became that during like the original writing process, and then it really became that after we started cleaning up the script.
Right.
Um, because we started moving closer and closer towards the source material.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we were just like, let's never really just say the words. It's a comic book film,
Right.
but kind of just leave it to the aesthetics of
Mhm.
everything to really kind of push that that narrative.
Plus, if you see the
Yeah.
way it looks like a comic book. You know, the
It does. It
color
does.
wise.
And then obviously, and then you guys included the scene at the end where he is defeating the big bad,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
it is all in comic book panels. Like
Yes.
I thought that was a great touch, man. I thought that was a
Yeah.
great, like, paying homage to the comic book.
We were gonna
That
do
was a dangerous
anime,
touch.
but it was gonna be difficult. It was the original thought was an anime, but then we went to,
Well,
because we don't have the money to make put so
that
we
would have been
decided,
cool. I mean, that would have been a cool way to do it too.
like
I think
Tarantino did to
because of the
kill Bill.
fact,
Well,
yeah,
the original concept was that we didn't see him kill him at all,
Mm-hmm.
and then later in editing, when we had come across a really talented young man, um,
Pedro.
I can't, huh?
Pedro.
Pedro. Pedro had done some fan art for us,
hmm
and in fact, our little icon on the fan page was done by him.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, we were starting the talks for reshoots, and that was one of the first things that came up was what do we show McLaurin dying, and we were thinking of going back and shooting that, and then um, basically we just kind of said, well, we have this comic book artist. Why
Right.
don't we actually just pay him
yeah.
pretty much what we would have paid to
Yeah.
reshoot it,
Yeah.
which was risky, but in the end, I'm glad the fans really liked it.
And
Well,
he's
wait,
all the way in England.
so have you gotten other positive feedback on the comic book panel part?
Yes,
Oh
we do.
yeah, no, they loved it.
Yeah.
I think I've seen like one negative comment out of
So
like hundreds.
so literally there was no death scene for that to begin
No.
with. You weren't going to
No,
What
show it at
happened
all.
was
It was just
I
going to
still
cut scene to the
I,
next scene.
I still remember on set I was arguing with Dylan. I said, "This isn't, we need to have it." He said, "No, no, no, we need to have it cut out." And then when we went to and I said, "Okay, fine, but it's not gonna look good." And then when we were doing post production, I said to him the same thing. I said, "There's no justification after all that fight and all that storyline, just to have him just cut out. There has to be something." And then
well,
I
the
thought of an anime. He thought of the slides, and then I think the slides was financially more, you know,
So is that
in line.
well, it
the
probably would have cost the same amount, honestly. The amount we paid him to do the slides, especially because
He,
it was very not rushed. They had very little time to do it.
he's all the way in England too.
Yeah,
He's a British guy. His name is Pedro, but he's English. Goes
so
yeah.
but you had already done it once in the film where you did kind of a cut scene like with the cop car, um, where he approached the
Oh,
cop,
not showing what happened. Well,
right, and then it
that was
cut
also
right to the
another.
next scene.
That was
Yeah.
another afterthought. So, trying to think how far back to go with it. So long story short, we had a original partnership with Dark Horse, and that's no secret.
Yeah.
hmm
And then basically due to timing, and we just decided we wanted to put more into the picture. We decided to release Rise of the Mask instead of Revenge, basically because there was a lot of little things that we could get done with Revenge that we knew we could do with more time.
Yes.
And so we went back and then we said, what could we do with the money that we had? And there was just scenes that we switched out and scenes that we added in. And a lot of that's explained in the behind the scenes video too.
hmm
But one of them was the police car, which basically was added because of the scene where you see the mask killing T, basically the Vin Diesel bald looking dude.
Yeah.
And we had already had that car, which I'm surprised that not a single fan has noticed this yet. And hopefully they get this from this, is that car is actually from the Dukes of Hazzard.
Get out of here.
It even says Hazard County on the car. And nobody has noticed.
That's crazy.
And it's in Michigan of all places.
Yes. And and the gentleman, it's the actual car too, which is awesome. Yeah. But so when we were shooting the scene, because this has happened to both of us at one point, I wasn't there, and this is what he means by the fighting, but the scene is that I had to leave. Well, they were shooting the second half of the warehouse scene, which was pretty much the entire confrontation, because I was very ill. And the original way that was written was that they were pretty much sitting at a table having it out. And, you know, it was a very calm thing. And then everything was supposed to be kind of revealed during the end credits, kind of like they are now.
Yeah.
Is that he didn't just stop at killing McLaurin. He ended up killing over 200 people, ended up killing everyone in the organization and all that jazz. But then the way that they shot it was way better than I'd written it, which was just, you know, having McLaurin get into his face.
When I read the script, it was, you know, having two big-time people, like these are the two main characters, just sitting down and hashing it out. To me, it doesn't justify the entire movie as a horror action. I had to have them duke it out, so to speak, and add drama to it. And if you see the shots, how I did it, it was like...
well, and it still kept kind of the essence of what I was trying to accomplish writing-wise, which was basically an unstoppable force meeting an unmovable object.
Yeah.
You know, the guy thinks he's this unstoppable person, you know, and he meets the mask, which is actually unstoppable.
What it is if you look at the angles, is the anti-hero meeting the antagonist. It's kind of it's hard to describe. He's the anti-hero, and he's on the floor, and the antagonist is on top of him. And that's why if you look at the angles, it sort of tells you that storyline. And then in the end, when he talks about the wife, which is the clincher, he stands up and he kills him.
Yeah, that was it. That was the
yeah.
But with that added momentum to the scene that really wasn't there in the script, basically we realized either we have to go back and actually shoot him dying somehow. It would have been in the same fashion, like it would have been the same clip-like motion, quick and whatnot. Right. But we just thought it would be way better to pay it off to the fans, to go full on comic book reference.
Right.
Yeah. It came across as not only like nostalgic to the comic books, but also just really artistic. Like it was unexpected completely. I wasn't expecting to see any comic strips, you know, comic book panels scroll across the screen. That was completely never in a million years would I have thought like, oh, this movie's gonna have comic book panels in it.
It's also sort of an homage to the comic book. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I appreciated about it, and that's what I'm guessing a lot of fans appreciated about it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And also, just the fact that it was something different, man. Like, yeah, you could have showed another gruesome killing scene.
Right.
But I don't know. I feel like having that be that different.
Yeah, and as far as, you know, like earlier with him not, what I mean by that being an afterthought with the cop car scene is that really, when we were shooting it that night, Lance was very ill. Of course, so we both had a time in this film where we're both out of commission at some point. And when we had this cop car, we were all sitting and talking, and I had called Lance while we were on set saying, we got to add one more scene.
Yeah.
And so I think it was like, we were like, okay, we can do it tomorrow. Right. Let's just go out in the freezing ass cold at, you know, 8:30 at night and just basically steal a scene with that car.
Right.
And I think the only idea that we had jotted down was that we knew we wanted the mask to get stopped. by a cop after killing Nemo and Kyle.
Right.
But we didn't really know what to do with it afterwards, and then Lance was like, "Let's just go full on Dark Knight and show him waving it out of the car in the tunnel."
Yeah.
But I don't think an ounce of that was planned or just authorized. I think that was the most.
So that was an afterthought. That was like a reshoot, basically.
Yeah.
Just that little clip of him.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That was my favorite scene in the entire thing. Is that it cut from that to that. Like that was the most impactful thing to me.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
It turned out really good. It turned out really, like I said, Dylan and I and the crew. You have to give credit also to Bobby and Istvan and these guys. We all rolled our sleeves, man, and there was no egos, and we all wanted to make a great movie, and it shows for whatever budget we had.
Yeah.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
No, and everybody was on board from the beginning that stuck through that whole project, and it's rare when you have a movie, especially one like this. We shot it starting in April, with 2 reshoot periods and another short film in between with Rise. Yeah. And everybody came out hugging and laughing at the end, and that's rare.
It's rare. Plus, you have to understand, because of certain mistakes in scheduling, like we were restricted a lot. I mean, we're fortunate to have what we had on on screen, because there was a lot of hours wasted just setting up. Like with Rise, we only had 5. That was a 5-hour scene. That we shot that in only 5 hours.
I would say it was close to 9, but it should have been longer. Basically, we were scheduled to come in around 9 a.m. at that beach.
Yeah.
And because Istvan, our lead DP, was coming in from another project the night before, he didn't tell us pretty much till the night before, and this wasn't really his fault, that he wouldn't be able to be on set until at least 11.
Right.
And, here in Michigan, as you know, the sun goes down quick.
Yep.
And, so I think the sun was going down, at 7:30? So we had pretty much, the moment we arrived on set, we rushed everybody in, got them in makeup. A lot of it was done on Steadicam, not like a Ronin, a good old-fashioned big-ass Steadicam rig. Greg Johnson was also a beast on a camera.
We had rehearsed for 2 days in a studio the entire fight sequence, and it was supposed to be like a 10-minute sequence.
Yeah.
And I ended up chopping it up because of time and tide and wind.
No, they were about halfway through the first sequence, and the whole thing was supposed to be done almost by Steadicam. And I had gone to, I think it was after I prepped Bobby, they were getting set. The aerial shots were done. They were getting through the first 2 sequences. And I went out to get food, for the crew to pick up Crafty. And when I came back, they were still on the first part of the second sequence. And basically we're like, yeah, we're going to have to trim some stuff.
Yeah. We trimmed a lot.
This is all for Rise? All this
all
stuff
for Rise.
Yeah.
Wow.
We trimmed half.
And this was, so Rise was filmed completely after the rest of the film was made, right?
Yes. Well, the main film, yes.
Yeah, the main film.
Right.
And then with Rise,
and there's like the reshoots, like the cop car scene and stuff like that.
Yeah, but that didn't come until like last month, basically. So
wow.
We were done after July, basically. We didn't get back together to reshoot anything until late October.
But what you see in Rise is 40% of what I was going to shoot. So imagine if we had the time, it would have been far more epic than what was on screen.
Basically, we needed another day.
Yeah.
And we knew we also had Istvan for that one day and most of the crew.
So was that just what happened because you had some extra money after making the film, like you were able to save enough money, or did you pour more money into it to make Rise?
No.
No. Go ahead.
Rise was always planned to be a part of the film, whatever form it was going to be as a prologue. It was in the original script, the original script, and then it was cut out. And then I want to say about a month or two before we began principal photography, essentially we were sitting in a McDonald's, and the rest of the crew didn't know about it other than some of the points I told to Lance. And I said, if we can get some extra money together, we should do this prologue. And then, me and Lance went back and forth on it, how epic fightingness do we make it? Because in reality, I really wanted it to be a homage to something that already existed, which was the deleted scene that was in the original Mask.
Right.
And basically saying that this is how the Mask made it to America, is that it was created here. They captured Loki at some point, brought him far away from, from civilization, or at least they thought,
right?
And sucked out his power and put it into a mask. But basically, then the idea came up that it was going to be a fight between two brothers. One who wanted the mask for himself, one who just wanted to end it and finish the curse. And but basically, once we knew what the length of this prologue was going to be, it became a decision whether or not it was going to remain as a actual prologue to Revenge or be its own thing.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, when we got close to knowing we were going to do the reshoots, basically we just chopped it off of Revenge and just kind of let it grow as its own thing, which ultimately became one of the best decisions we made.
Yeah,
I think it's
it created so much more excitement too about like the actual film.
Yeah.
And
I have a bunch of questions here. I love what's going on here.
Shoot.
This is like normally what I do is podcasting, which is like just shooting the shit, which is perfect.
Let's shoot the shit.
I actually like this more than just asking questions, but I came up with questions.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Just about different things. So we'll get to them, and then we can continue doing what we're already doing.
Okay.
So I'll do like an intro to this video. I realized that at the beginning I didn't like say anything like, hey, this is this guy and this guy from this, blah, blah, blah. I'll add that in the video that I put up. But first question I had was, how long have both of you been involved in filmmaking in general?
You go first, Lance.
I started as a screenwriter probably 15 years ago, and then I slowly graduated into directing maybe 8 years ago, and I've been very fortunate because in this business it's who you know, it's not what you know. And I started selling scripts, and from selling scripts, which again is very rare, to directing, and I've made I think around 10 feature films. There you can find most of them on iTunes, and a couple of them are on TV One. And then I don't usually do shorts, but when Dylan approached me with this, and he said what it's about, and it's about the Mask, and Dark Horse gave I think within 60 seconds I said, hell yeah, this is something I really want to do. And because I love competition and I see what the studios do, and I honestly, deep inside of me, thought we can pull something off that's a masterpiece with whatever, but because we have the right people, we have the right equipment. In Michigan, we're blessed. I mean, between Dylan and Isvan, we have a studio level equipment, right, Dylan?
Oh, yeah.
All we need to do, if we rent lenses, we're done. We can challenge anybody out there in LA. And that's how deep we are in equipment. And once you have the equipment and you have location and you have the creative team, you can accomplish anything. I mean, Dylan has an excellent background in prosthetics and SFX and blood and all that stuff, and good storytelling ideas. Nobody knows the Mask as much as Dylan Science. I don't care who, I can challenge anybody. But Dylan knows about the mask, and this is why he's been with this project for 15 years. He knows it more than anybody, inside and out. So when he approached me with this, and I saw how much passion, and he said, "This I've been trying to do this for 15 years. It's not coming together, and this is the day. This is can you join me as a director and a producer?" I said, "I'm in," and that was it. I had connections. He had connections. We pulled up. It's like teamwork. It's there's no egos, and we pulled it off. And I love film. I have contracts with other feature films that I have to pull off. But what's going on right now with this is like I don't think we'll ever reach this. It's gonna take a long time for me personally, if I do other feature film, to have this type of viewership or this type of it's like a big tsunami of
it's so interesting too,
and all that stuff. Yeah,
people look down at YouTube, but when you're releasing a movie, on DVD or Netflix or whatever, it's such a faceless thing.
You don't get feedback.
Get to be as connected with your audience or see every day how many people are actually watching your stuff. It's very interesting.
It is.
So my story is weird and complicated and long, so I'm going to do an abridged version of it. So I started completely by accident. I always loved movies. I loved television shows, obsessed with them as a kid. Never thought about doing it. And my family, didn't have a lot of money. And my dad owned a trucking company, but that was about the extent of it. And my mother and I grew up in a recording studio, so I've always been around entertainment, and so I wanted to get a job to help my mother out because I was living with her primarily at the time. And I got a job working for Ray Hikus at this place in Warren. And he had a little office also in Downriver, which was close to where I lived. And so when I was starting working with him, he was an ex-VFX artist, not VFX, sorry, special effects artist. And he was very depressed because his brother passed away. And basically needed someone to clean up the shop floors. So I did. And one day, as a joke, he asked if I could sculpt. And so he gave me something to do, and I did it well. And then a year later, we were actually working together on actual projects. And then he reignited his connections with a few bigger companies like New Line Cinema. And that's when we started doing our Weekend Warrior stuff. So if a team on a film doesn't want to do something, they want money, they end up bringing in a separate team of people to finish it and in special effects. And as many people know, in the special effects world and props and makeup, it is a very harsh community of people. Long story short, we had just wrapped on doing a couple of projects, and one of them was Freddy versus Jason, and we ended up working together and going to Australia to shoot Son of the Mask. And I loved The Mask when I was a kid, and it was a huge honor for me. And when I was on that set, everything looked amazing.
The Jim Carrey version of The Mask.
No, Son of the Mask, the bad version.
No. I mean, when you were a kid, you loved The Mask. You're talking about.
Yeah. I was a 90s kid, so growing up seeing that movie, just was spectacular. The CG, everything about it was revolutionary. And then the movie came out, and me and Ray had worked on tons of projects by then, and mine and his relationship deteriorated a bit because unbeknownst to me, he had cancer, and he started becoming more unstable, and I ended up leaving the effects world and pretty much took all the money that I had made from doing that and invested in becoming a DP. Because after working on Son of the Mask, I realized basically how much I loved seeing what was going on behind the camera as opposed to actually doing my job. Yeah. And so I've just been knocking about ever since. I had a studio for 7 years, soundstage, and I just jumped on as many sets, doing whatever, around town as possible. That's how I met Lance. Is I was a unit production manager on a project that me and him were on together that was a living hell, and we bonded through that misery. And that's also how we all met Istvan. And so we've all known each other, and we've been working together for on and off for 6 to 7 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And we've never really had a project to all kind of come together on again. And so ever since I did Son of the Mask, for years and years and years and years, I've been telling everybody, I'm going to do a film one day. And I loved the movies, but I loved the source material even more, the comic books.
Mm-hmm.
And just the idea and duality of, the characters who wore it, that is it, kind of makes you question, is it really a possessing entity, or is it insanity manifesting itself, essentially? And I thought what they did with the original mask was great, and the closest thing we got to the source material was Dorian. But me and my writing partner Kyle have been knocking about on it for centuries, and then one day a friend of mine passed away who created the prop from the original movie, The Mask. And when I told her we were going to make the movie, she sent us the Hero A1 copy to make A2 copy to make the masks for our film.
Right.
And that was kind of a wake-up call that if I don't make this movie soon, everybody from the original team is going to be dead. Right. So I immediately contacted Lance, and me and him had a sit down while we were working on another project. And I told him that because I was ill at the time, I didn't want to direct it. I didn't want to DP it. I would like to executive produce it. And those were the only two people on earth that I would trust to do this movie. And that was right before April, and we had 2 months of pre-production, and here we are.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a great story, man.
Full circle. Oh, by the way, something.
Well, it's kind of crazy because you guys told such informative stories that some of my questions are probably already answered in the original thing.
I have something to say.
Go ahead.
My agents and managers in LA initially told me not to do this because it's a short.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they're eating those words now.
So, but now, and Dylan doesn't know this. Actually, you do.
Yeah, I do.
Because of this project, I am hired to direct a Netflix thing. And because Dylan was kind enough to me, I convinced them to bring in Dylan as my DP.
Because of this project?
Because of this project.
That's amazing, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Somebody wants us to shoot a pilot for Netflix.
Wow, dude.
Totally on the wraps. And they had
you just announce it to the world, my friend.
Well, they're not gonna know what it's about.
Right.
And they had a DP. I said, I will not do this. I need to bring in my guy, which is Dylan. And they said, well, he can be the second DP. I said, no. He's a really reliable DP because look at the project, and he's also a producer, and he could do editing, and he can do special effects. So he could do the DPing, the editing, and special effects 3 in 1. Why go waste all that money? And as soon as they heard that,
that's awesome.
So hopefully it'll come through. I mean, it's all in negotiation right now, but they've approved Dylan as a DP. They've approved me as a director. So yes.
I hope to see something from you guys on Netflix. That would be fucking amazing.
That'd be amazing. Something for sure. Whether it's a feature film or for Netflix or anything. I mean, we're gonna be doing stuff. He knows. I mean, there's a person who wants to hire a zombie movie now. There's a zombie movie in the mix. There's several projects. I mean, but nothing is concrete in this business, my friend, until the money is actually in the bank. Isn't that right?
We have two projects for me that have come about because of this project. Is I'm doing a feature film in July. I can't really talk about but I'm going to be doing that for about 3.5 weeks. And then right after that in August, I have 2 shorts that I'm going to be wrapping up on. But then the big one that we want to finish, Tim Parrish and I, the guy who plays Alan in our film, have been working on a big project for a long, long time called Footsteps in the Sand. So that will probably be the next big release from my personal company. Mm-hmm. But the an appropriation, but that's a whole nother ball of wax.
Yeah,
that's I think, dude, Alan Parrish, like, I think he did a great job in this film. I was seriously impressed. Like, I was impressed by the acting ability of most of the actors in this short. I was like, damn, dude, this is a fan film? Are you kidding me? This is a passion project?
Yeah.
Like, most of the times when you see a passion project, it's a bunch of buddies that get together and shoot something on their, HD 240 cam, or, like, that's what I would have shot. I would have shot something with my camera outside of my apartment. You know what I mean? So that's what a fan film for me would have looked like. No, I was
we shot
blown away.
Full crew, full nights. It was the Arri Alexa Mini was the camera. All of our extracurricular footage was the Red Dragon. We had so many series of DPs. Matt Sisko on sound. He did an amazing job.
Absolutely.
Of course, Tracy No. I did all the props for the film, but Tracy did the prosthetics. He made the mask, and he did an astounding job. And everybody was on their A game on this project. And of course, Christina Tomlinson, who was the production designer, and she did all the costumes for the film. So she did the hero costumes for Michael and as the mask, and she did a great job translating the stuff from the comics.
Yep.
So
it was teamwork, man. Everybody knew what they were doing.
All right, so this, like I said, a lot of these questions already have kind of been answered because you guys did a really good job of elaborating, which is good because I don't want to just be doing questions on it. Next question that I had is, what got you started in filmmaking? Dylan kind of answered that with just the fact that you love movies, and I mean, but if there's something that like really, this question is supposed to be like, when was the first time you remember going like seeing something and going, oh shit, like that is what I want to do. Like that's what I want to do for a living. I want to make stuff. Like I want to make movies.
Well, I was in Africa watching a movie because we owned video stores. Mm-hmm. I watched a movie called Out of Africa in Africa.
Yeah. Out of Africa?
Remember the movie Out of Africa with Robert and Meryl Streep?
Yeah.
So I was watching that when I was in Africa. Mm-hmm. And I was blown away. I said, how the hell is this? How this is Africa through the eyes of a lens that I've never seen before. Mm-hmm. And with the music of John Barry, who's passed away. He's one of my favorite composers. And I said to myself, I want that. Like, how do I get there? And I started watching a shitload of movies after that. So Empire Strikes Back was a big influence. Raiders of the Lost Ark was a big influence. Jaws, Alien, E.T. All these movies really screwed with my head, and I couldn't be the normal person that I was in school anymore.
So you're a Spielberg fan?
Well, I'm one. I mean, I like, Hitchcock. I like David Lean. I mean, he did Lawrence of Arabia and Bridge Over the River Kwai and Dr. Zhivago. I mean, those are epics. So I like that stuff too. But as a kid, E.T. was a big influence. So was Jaws.
Of course. Hey, I have to ask this because you mentioned Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So have you seen the adaptation then?
The what?
The adaptation?
Raiders of the Lost Ark, the adaptation.
Mm-mm.
No.
Oh my God. I can't believe I'm able to give this to you guys. I'm I'm super excited right now.
Okay.
Okay. So there's a documentary on Netflix.
Right.
It's called Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
The story of the greatest fan film ever made.
Okay.
You've never heard of this?
No.
Oh my God.
Man,
Oh
I've been
my
keeping
God.
track, man. I've been doing my research. Okay,
Oh
so
my God.
Raiders.
All right.
It's called Raiders, the story of the greatest fan film ever made.
Uh-huh.
It documents the story of a few childhood friends in the 1980s who decided in 1982, when they were, I think, 12 years old,
Mm-hmm.
that they were going to do a shot for shot remake of Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
Not only did they do it, they did it in spectacular form.
No way.
They shot the kids. It took them their entire teenage childhood from like 11 to 19 years old.
No way.
They shot it scene for scene, almost exact. I'm talking camera angles, I'm talking dialogue, I'm talking the boulder rolling, I'm talking the plane blowing up.
What?
Listen to me. These kids shot this film. Actually, I take that back. They shot this film minus the plane blowing up scene.
Mm-hmm.
Every other scene they shot.
Right.
They put it together on Betamax.
Oh wow.
They put it together, and one of their moms actually did like a premiere for them in 1989.
That's awesome.
Holy
Okay.
shit.
That reminds me of God, that Spielberg film, 8mm. What was it?
Oh, you talking? Yeah. It's not. It was a J.J. Abrams movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Super
I know
8.
you're talking about.
Super 8. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's one of
That
my
was
favorite
fantastic. I loved Super 8,
movies.
man.
I love Super 8.
That was great. So these kids do this, and basically that's it. They film it, they put it on a VHS, and they store it in their cabinet. And they never did that plane scene because it was just too big for a bunch of teenagers to shoot. It was like exploding airplanes,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And they someone discovers the tape in like 2002.
Mm-hmm.
One of the guy's college buddies made a copy of it because he thought it was hilarious. Showed it to like Eli Roth.
Oh wow.
Just by chance. It ended up in a tiny, ridiculous film festival, like a 24-hour-a-thon film festival of ridiculous films. And the crowd was captivated. And so these people in Hollywood got in contact with these kids who weren't kids anymore. They were middle-aged men, and said, dude, what, you have to put this thing out. You have to do something with this. And the guys decided to go and try to find funding to film that final scene, the airplane. And they did it.
This.
They did a GoFundMe. They pulled together the funds, got some outside help from producers that they begged for money. They made the plane scene at middle age.
Wow.
The greatest thing about this film is that they change ages all throughout, because just like a real film, they film it all out of order.
Yeah.
So in one scene they're 12, the next one they're 17, and the next one they're 40.
Oh geez.
But it's all the same actors. It's the greatest thing I've ever seen, dude. Like So I saw this documentary and I was like, I have to see the actual film. I have to.
Yeah.
So I bought it. Like, they have a website. It's called The Raiders Guys, and you go there and you order it. It is a legit shot-for-shot remake on Betamax. It's the greatest thing I've ever seen.
Mouse House lets it happen.
That's amazing.
Dude, well, here's what happened. They obviously they caught the attention of George Lucas and Steven Spielberg. They loved what these kids did. It was so dead
this was
on.
Before that, then, before the buyout.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah,
so it was,
I believe that then. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they, like, Spielberg and Lucas discovered it in like 2002.
Jesus.
Ish.
Yeah, we've been very fortunate with I wouldn't say fortunate, lucky, or unlucky. I don't know, with everything that we had happen on our thing. But like so, we were originally sponsored by Dark Horse. We're hoping that we can be again, but because of certain unforeseen circumstances that I just don't want to get into with people, um, basically, we had a deal to originally have this premiere on Dark Horse's website. They were sponsoring it. It was an official film, and through those circumstances, we ended up losing them as our sponsor. And I don't know how much I can say. All I can say is that we now have sponsorship. I'm trying to say how this. Well, Barry won't get mad at us. Let's just say people who've produced the original film are now sponsoring us. Hence, why the film has never been taken down.
Okay, so that's is that what is that? You don't have to say it, but I would say it's Universal. Is that you got something from Universal?
No, wrong studio.
Yeah, wrong studio.
Wrong studio. I thought
starts with a W.
Okay. All right. We won't even do it then.
Well, anyways, everybody knows the original studio was New Line Cinema that produced them, but New Line was bought out years ago by another big studio, and so they are kind of our protectors now. But it's very complicated because basically we have permission, and we have to still say it's a fan film, but we can't just come out and say, by the way, this is a Warner Brothers project now. So basically, you know, the good that this has done has outweighed the bad for them. You know, Dark Horse is still releasing their omnibus because now they have such a huge influx of people asking to buy the mass comic books just from the trailer alone.
Yeah.
That was even before Rise came out. They were getting ready to release their omnibus again for the first time in 13 years. And it looks like Warner is going to rebuy the actual license to do another mass project. So, which means that we may be dealing with them more in the future. So,
hey, that's the goal here, man. That would be awesome.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, that would be really awesome. We're still planning on our own thing, but if they ever said, "Hey, you guys want to come in and be a part of this?" I don't think we could say no.
No.
Or that would just
be stupid. I think it'd be natural. I think that's what most regular people like me would hope for, is that they would get the people who repopularized, created a renewed interest in the comic book and in the film.
Well, when we first started all this, you know, that was the first thing I with me and Lance. Me and Lance and Christina were pretty much the only people not making money on this. You know, everybody was paid something. But we all went into this knowing that it was never going to be something we were going to make money on because of what it is. Right. But I told him, you know, there's 3 scenarios, and this is that somehow we got stopped, which didn't happen, so that was great. Number 2 is that the same thing that happened to, and then, like I said, I've done my research with pretty much every major fan film that has come out in the last 10 to 15 years, from Sandy Clawley to God, Al Shanken. What is his name? He does this thing called the Bootleg Universe, and about 7 years ago now, 6 years ago, there was this Power Rangers fan film that came out. Basically, that was a joke. The joke being that it's a dark, gritty reboot of Power Rangers.
And are you talking about? You're not talking about the joke one, right? Where they it's really gory and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Weirdly enough, because of the viewership that got, regardless of them trying to shut it down, I mean, they hardcore. I think it was taken down from the internet 6 times. It's still up there. But because of the renewed interest in the franchise, that film, and the studios admitted it, was the reason why it got rebooted. And ultimately, regardless of how well the Power Rangers reboot did, it is because of that fan film at the end of the day.
It got made. It did
it
that
got
well.
made. And so I told him the best case scenario is that we reboot a dead franchise.
Right.
And, in one way or another, but I highly doubt we'll be a part of it. But just to say that, hey, we're personally responsible for rebooting a dead franchise, it was good enough for me.
Yeah.
So it looks like that's
going
to be the case.
You're going to have enough of, I'm sure you've gotten a lot of positive feedback that, if nothing else, fuels you. Just that alone, like if it went nowhere, any bigger than it already has, I'm sure it'd be like, that's rewarding in itself.
Yeah.
So I don't, it's like, I understand that, like, kind of talking down, like, you don't want to be too hopeful of something that might happen or whatever. And
he's the hopeful one. I'm the the cautiously optimistic.
Right. You're the dreamer.
It is really backwards, considering
Lance is the dreamer here.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be the producer, right? And you're supposed to be the director.
Yeah.
I'm the dreamer. He's the producer.
Right.
I'm the realistic one.
Yeah. But hey, I get shit done. So.
Oh yeah.
1 second. I'm gonna take a bathroom break. Anyone needs to take a bathroom break? I'm gonna come back, ask these few questions, and like I said, we can stay on as long as you want. But I have to go to the bathroom real quick.
No problem.
I'll take a break too.
Yeah, I'm gonna go use the bathroom. I'll be right back.
All right.
Oh.
Your interview? Oh, okay.
Oh.
Okay. I am back.
Hey, do you have a time where the three of us are meeting tomorrow?
Not yet. Basically, it's just, I guess, whenever we arise. I gotta keep cleaning out the office. Ooh, he's back. Yo.
All right, I'm back. Lance, I can see your face now, man.
Hey. Awesome.
So yeah, we'll get into the questions then, because I've got a couple more here. Obviously, you kind of answered this, at least Dylan did. Are either of you, or were you already really big comic book fans in general, or was it just this particular character that interested you? And like, if so, what comic books were you ever into? Like, what were your biggest?
I'm a collector. In my basement, I have the original Catwoman. I have a lot. I mean, I have a lot of comic books, and I've been ever since I was a kid. I was a comic book nerd, but I cannot say that I was a big fan of the Mask.
Okay.
I was more Batman, Superman. You know, the whole tradition comic books, even Archie. But not really the Mask. So that's why I would say that Dylan Sides is the Mask fanatic. I'm just I started brushing up on it after, and he gave me a couple of comic books, and I started reading on my own after.
I gave you all my comic books, which I want back eventually.
Of course.
I'm a casual comic book fan. Love a movie, me, but I don't know. I've never been able to, like. It's weird. I can read an entire book, like any Stephen King book or whatever, but just I've never had much patience for comic books. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's OCD or something, really backwards OCD. But I loved Marvel comic books, and I've grown to love them more later in life. But no, I became a fan of the Mask comics after I saw the Ninth Fourth, because there was the TV series, whatever you want to call it. But I'm like, there has to be something more than this. And so I did my research, which the internet wasn't really a thing yet. But I went to my local library and found the first couple of Mask comic books that I could find. And then I went out and bought as many as I could find. And then I lost my whole series of them at some point and rebought them all later in life.
So this, that's the one where the detective is wearing the mask. Is that?
Which one?
Is that the series? Is that the original series where the detective comes across the mask?
It goes on for a long time. There was a lot of, I wouldn't call them reboots of the comics, but they went through generations. The very first one was called Look Who's Laughing Now. And that was actually a story of Stanley Ipkiss.
Oh, okay.
So the first comic book did follow Stanley Ipkiss, but he didn't last very long. He died. And then from there on, it was pretty much just handed down from person to person to person. Lieutenant Kellaway, there's a ton of other characters. Walter, which is a big character in the comic. But ultimately, it was never something that stayed out with one person for very long.
Okay. I actually see. I would have guessed that backwards. I would have guessed that you were really into comics, and Lance was less into comics, but more into making this film.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
But it's kind of reverse. You're more into movies, and Lance was really into comics at one point.
I was always into movies, but I was also a comic book nerd. It was like
yeah. I feel like to me they always went hand in hand. Like I was a movie person first. Obviously, as a little kid, I was really into movies. That's what I did. Like my parents VHS recorded ridiculous amounts of HBO films and and pirated pay-per-view films, and that's what I watched growing up, just over and over and over. And then eventually it grew into, like, in the early 90s, the X-Men comic, or the X-Men cartoon came out. And then it was like, oh shit, they make books of this, and then it took off from there, like for me, for comic books. So All right, getting in specifically to the film.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You've already kind of answered this. Whose idea was this, and how long was it a dream project? I'm guessing. Um, Dylan had been involved with The Mask for a very long time and already a fan of the comics, so you did kind of already answer that one. If you want to elaborate, you can. If not, so.
I'll just give an abrasive version. So me and one of my best friends, Kyle Parker, after I wrapped on Son of the Mask, I was, just getting into middle school, and that's when I met Kyle, and he was an actor, and we made, a bunch of random films together, and the first thing we did was a crappy fan film of The Mask, and so we were like, yeah, we can't do this. No matter how good at special effects I was, or how good I could make Kyle look, there was just no filming technique behind it, and we just kind of gave up. And but we kept writing stuff. We kept writing different stories and whatever all throughout the years. And ultimately, what we came down to was that we wanted to do an old school mobster type story. No musicals. that was Kyle's. Because every version of the script, I try to write a musical number in there somewhere because I love that from the original film. And at some point, he put his foot down, and they do it a lot in the comic too. But so after we finally agreed on a version, the first draft of the original script was pretty much all but finished, and then after that, Lance and Athena did their basically their takes on it, and then after all four of us agreed on a final draft, I think we didn't agree on a final draft until like 3 weeks before filming.
I agree.
Yeah, something like that.
So, and that kind of goes into my next question of who wrote the script. So, did you initially, Dylan?
The story was by me. The main writers was me and Kyle, and then Lance and Athena did all of the abbreviated rewrites. So basically, like dialogue rewrites and stuff like that. So anything to kind of flesh the characters out more.
So the story basically was yours, and then it was hashed out and elaborated upon by several different people.
Pretty much. I'm really good at coming up with stories. Kyle is great at giving characters souls, which which is why we would work together well as writing partners. And then Athena and Lance really wanted to kind of give it their spin on the dialogue between certain characters, and I think between all of us, we finally made a really cohesive script.
Yeah. I get hired all the time to write scripts, so this was an easy pass through. So we polished it, basically, made it look, and then sometimes on set also we play with dialogue.
Yeah, there was a lot of improvising on set. Very rarely for Michael, actually. He stayed pretty on script.
Mm-hmm. So how was this thing cast? Like, was this just actors you already knew? Was this friends of yours that were in the business?
The main
yes, no, and yes.
The main characters Dylan knows, like Michael Bugard and Tim Parrish. And obviously we both knew Amar Nemo, and his friend obviously is Kyle. The other guys came from a local casting agent, like the extras, and some people I knew, like Zach Kurtz and Marco Polo. So it was a consortium of both Dylan and I, and a tiny casting agent. So that's basically.
But no one was casted until we all agreed upon each person.
Yeah,
and some people required specific parameters. I think the hardest person to cast was the main villain, McLaurin. I think he was almost the last person to be casted. Ultimately, ended up with Gary Berner because I worked with him on another film that I had met Michael Bugard on called oh god, they're gonna slap me for it. The Russian Sleep Experiment, which is another film that did quite well. But we all met on that project, and Gary has just a amazingly stoic voice.
Mm-hmm.
Or is that the word for it? I don't know how to explain his voice, but it sounds like...
I think it's a raspy type of a voice.
Yeah, he has this raspy, intimidating voice, and he did a brilliant job in that film. And I just thought if anybody could sound intimidating against The Mask, I guess it would be him.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it was, I think, after it was he was cast about 3 weeks before filming, and then you met with him and Michael at the same time.
Yeah, I started rehearsals like maybe 3 weeks before, right?
Yeah.
So did you actually, were there really auditions for it, or was it kind of like you brought someone in,
No, there was no auditions because we didn't have time.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like Dylan's people that he's worked with before, and my people that I've worked before, and we trusted, and that was pretty much it.
So you just you trusted each other, and then kind of met people, and were like, okay, yeah, he seems like.
Yep.
I mean, I didn't give anybody a permanent yes until Lance sat down with them and actually did some some kind of. So I guess that's the closest thing to an audition.
Right.
Was Lance sitting down and vetting them, director to actor.
Yes.
After he gave the thumbs up is pretty much how they got the role.
Right.
Cool. Okay. Cool. Do you want to reveal this? I don't know. You didn't reveal it in the behind the scenes or anything, but what was the budget for the film? How much did it cost overall, like out of your pocket? Since
we might as well just say it. All right. So, the total budget overall is close to, and this is, I don't know exactly what Lance's put in is at this point, but my guess is it's somewhere close to 80-something thousand. The original budget was only supposed to be 50, but with the addition of Rise and then the reshoots, the premiere, post-production, it shot up quite a bit.
Yes, it did.
Yep.
Well, what was that premiere like?
Oh, it was a lot of fun. And Lance is doing another one here soon too.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing another premiere for this?
Yeah.
You're doing another showing for this?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Yep. Now we
totally different clientele and totally different city. You're more than invited to come.
Yeah. Did any idea when? Did you have it all planned out yet?
End of January, probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we the original premiere was more meant for the actors and a lot of our closer friends, and a few industry people and whatnot, and we invited local people, but we didn't start really advertising for it for like the week before. I've been to some premiere horror stories personally, and I've seen what can happen if you have a premiere before something's finished. So I didn't want us to even greenlight a premiere until we knew we had a final product.
Right.
Yeah.
Plus, I have a public relations company that is on a retainer, and they're going to organize it for me. And this is basically just, for Dylan to sit back, and just relax and watch it on a different, not like inviting friends and family, just like the public is going to come in, and we're going to do it the right way with news. Probably there's going to be news people.
Yeah, I'll let him handle that one because I was damn near dead by the time we did the premiere because we were doing tightening up all the way to the last minute.
Right.
Because the premiere was the exact same night as the launch for YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had to edit.
A lot of work, man.
Yeah, we had to edit a completely different version for the premiere because we actually just slapped in Rise into the movie. So it was just one long film. And then we had to export a completely different version for YouTube.
So you showed it with Rise at the beginning?
Yeah, we did.
Okay, that's cool. Do you plan on doing it that way too?
Yes, it's exactly the same thing.
Same way?
But different venue, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to posted. I'd love to come to something like that. That'd be awesome.
Yeah,
you're more than welcome.
you're more than please join us. We would love to meet you personally. So this is a way for you to come in.
It's funny. Earlier mentioned other fan films too. We had a very random special guest. Someone who did a fan film called Revenge of the Mask back in like 2006.
Oh my God, that's one of my questions on here, dude. So yeah, go ahead, elaborate. Go ahead.
What's the question? What's the question?
I literally said, what do you think of the other Mask fan film on YouTube? And do you have anything to say about?
That's fun.
Okay, so me and Jason are really good friends. He reached out to us. God, I want to say almost 5 months ago, and I knew of his film from before, and I watched his original fan film, Revenge of the Mask, which, by the way, I did not steal the name, and I'm sure Jason would go, I never made that connection until because we were actually never going to call it Revenge of the Mask. It was always just called Revenge.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at our behind the scenes, even on our clappers, it all said Revenge.
Right.
I think it was a good move to include the mask in the title.
Yeah. And then it was actually not until one day he sends me a message that said, so yeah, I just saw the poster. I love the name. And then he sent me the link to the thing, just screwing with me. Jason's film is 2 hours long, and is an epic, but he didn't have the same resources or material that we had, and I don't not like it, but it is so long.
It was a more typical fan film.
Yeah.
That's what I said. Like, in comparison, that's kind of what I thought, is like that looked like a fan film, and yours looked more like a feature film. It looked more like something you would see.
Oh no, it's like I saw it. I saw some of it. I couldn't watch all of it, but yeah, it's totally different from what we. We
actually premiered his trailer there. Not premiered because we did the.
That was
in the audience. Lance just screamed out of nowhere because I forgot to mention that he was there, or that the trailer was about to premiere. So I'm like, "Here's Revenge of the Mask," and then
oh my God,
his trailer, and everyone in the audience is like, "What? What the hell is this?"
Oh my God,
what's happening? And but no, Jason is an awesome sport. He just wanted to make a movie. He didn't care about the visual outcome. He just wanted to make his story, and he's a huge nerd of the Mask as well. And so I think that's why we connected, because it's we have a lot in common. Two nerds wasting a year of their life to make something insane. He just spent a hell of a lot more time on it than I did. But we took a more we didn't want to do a 2-hour long movie.
No way.
And we compressed all the resources that would have gone into something that insane, and did something that was less than 30 minutes.
Yeah, that was one thing that I really liked about it. Like, looking at it, I was like, the way it was written and the way it was filmed, it didn't seem like, I was disappointed when I saw that it was going to be 35 minutes runtime. And then I watched it, and it didn't feel like I was shortchanged. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Once I got on watching, I was like, I'm completely satisfied with that runtime. But when I first looked at it, I'm like, oh, a short film, because from the trailer, it didn't look like it was going to be a short film.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't say, like, upcoming fan short film. You know what I mean? It just looked like it was going to be a feature film. I thought it was going to be an hour and a half, or at least an hour, And then I saw that it was 35. I'm like, this can't be the actual film. And I clicked on it, watched it, and then I was like, you know what? I'm good with that. Like, it might have been less satisfying had it been an hour and 20 minutes.
Right. It probably would have. And that's another thing I've learned with the internet. The internet can be unforgiving, because people say they want something, but it usually turns out that it's not the case. And every time I've seen a film get released on YouTube that's above half an hour, 45 minutes, none of them make it past the 10,000 mark, not even remotely close.
Plus, the attention span of people nowadays is not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we knew that if we went any longer than what we did, and we knew that the story was solid and that it was a 3-act story, and that's what was important. Yeah. And the credits is as much a part of the movie as the rest of the movie is. So even when it ends, it doesn't end. Because there's so much world building just within the credits on its own.
Right. It takes up that full 35 minutes. Like it's not 30 minutes and then 5 minutes of credits. It's definitely like to the very end you're watching the film. So
yeah. And there's a lot of payoffs in those credits as well.
Oh yeah.
Go ahead, Eva.
Ooh.
Cool.
All right. Let me get here. There might be. Okay. I have 2 more questions that I had written down here.
All right.
And this is just kind of a chance to put out there anything that you want people to know about, that projects you're working on, or things like that. So, what other projects besides Revenge of the Mask have you already worked on that you'd like to talk about, and where can we find those, like those things you've worked on? Where can people go and check out what you've done before this?
Go ahead, Dylan.
Well, I just wrapped on a film called Warrior Pride, which is premiering on, not premiering, it's being released on Amazon right now. That's a feature film. And Footsteps in the Sand is going to be released. It's going to be released in, we're hoping, late April. So those are 2 big projects, and I think those are the 2 I'd most like to plug right now. That's about it.
Lance told me that you do a lot of like music video production, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything like that people would know of or should
look
for?
Anything with Drew Jacob. He's one of my favorite people to work with. I do a lot of their lighting and equipment rentals and stuff, and I'm proud of a lot of the videos. The DP on that, he's great, and but if you check him out, he's got good music. Drew Jacobs.
Drew Jacobs.
Yeah. What about you, Lance?
Oh, you can find some of my movies on iTunes, like Restitution, Fractured. Geez, I can't even remember. There's several of them. If you go to IMDb, I can't even think right now. I'm sorry. But they're all on iTunes. If you look at Lance, Golden Shoes, it's a soccer movie for kids.
It's all right. After this, we'll hook up and I'll get all the links and stuff from you guys, and we'll just throw them in the description box and stuff. We'll have links to like all your movies, all your productions, anything that you've worked on.
If you go on my company bijusin.com, you'll see all the posters of everything I've done, and then it tells you where they are, what I'm doing, what I've done. Basically, it's everything that I've done. It even has the trailer and the film of Rise and the Revenge and everything. It's already updated, so everybody can see anything. Yeah.
Are you a Batman fan?
Yes. Why?
It's just the camera. It's just the camera. You've got there you go. For like 30 minutes, I've gotten the Batman view. Just the nose down.
Oh yeah. How about now?
It's all right. We got all the.
I think it's the angle that you have the squares in. Right now, I have like a 3-square thing, and I see his full head.
You see his full head?
Yeah. I see his full from his body down up.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's crazy because like I see my full head, I see your full head, and I see his half head.
Yeah.
Weird.
All
That's
right.
probably just how you have it organized, because he has his camera long ways right now.
Oh, okay.
That's what it is.
So I should
Yeah.
have it sideways.
That's what it is.
See, I don't think you can do that now, though, Lance. If you do that,
No,
it's
you can't do it after you start.
Yeah.
It's all right. It's all right. See, I'm the dumbass. It's all right.
That's all
All
right.
right, man.
Um,
So what's that last question?
last question, man. What's next for you guys? Like, what do you
Oh,
already have in the works, and what's maybe like a dream project that you really want to work on, something that you really want to do?
so we're really mulling over, because we the I don't know how much we should say right now. So there is a script in the works. It looks like we're probably going to move on with doing a part 2.
Okay.
And basically, I don't want to give anything away, but we had a music video that we just released with Twin Chord, and that kind of has a tease as to the direction that we're going in. I think everyone's just about gone that we're going in the direction of the Hunt for Green October,
Right.
which is a big comic book line, but I'm not going to say how or why or when.
Right.
But what I can tell you, though, is if we do it, we probably won't have anything major releasing until the middle of either next year or early 2020. But there will be stuff in between, is the
Okay.
best I can say.
Okay. So look forward to more mask stuff.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Anything else from you personally, like outside of the mask, that people like that you maybe have always wanted to do or you're planning to do, anything like that?
I really wanted to do, because I don't want to be stuck being the guy known for doing fan films. But there's a story related to Jumanji I've always wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
That would be cool. But that, and I have a big project that I'm just wrapping up shooting right now called Appropriation as a DP, and trailer we did the teaser there at the premiere as well. But I can't wait for that to be released. It's one of the most involved things I've ever done as a DP, so that'd be cool to see.
And it's called what again?
Appropriation.
Appropriation.
It's essentially a story of paranoia,
Mm-hmm.
and these 3 people that bunk up in a house together in Michigan, and there's an alleged killer on the loose, and basically everything that happens around them may or may not be in their heads, essentially. And it was really, really cool film to do. The location was great, and Ethan Cancula, who makes an appearance for a split second in the end credits as or you can see him in the vegan challenge sighting, Big Head sighting. He's the lead actor in that, and the director. But it's a very unique story, so I can't wait for that to be finished. But the teaser will be out for that pretty soon, and we'll have it connected into way you could see it through probably our alternate channel, because we're re-uploading all of our extra content onto a separate channel. So pretty much anything like the Big Head challenges, the
Behind
behind the scenes, and any other promotional stuff that we're going to do. Not trailers. Trailers will be able to go up on the main channel, but everything else will be on a new channel that we'll have up by tomorrow.
Awesome. Lance?
Oh, I'm on contract for several feature films, so LA stuff with big producers. I have a producer who did Ocean's 8, and we're negotiating for a feature film called USA Motel. I have one called The Violinist with the producer of Mudbound, which was up for 4 Academy Awards. direct that one, and it's I'll still work with Dylan obviously on the mask stuff, and we have several smaller projects together like the zombie movie and
the Netflix thing,
the Netflix stuff. But I'll also be doing my other, maybe because I come from the feature film world, and I'll be doing that too. So I'm okay right now. We'll see where it goes. Ask me this question end of 2019. We'll see where we're at. But
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm very happy with
All right.
the things.
Well, look, man, that was the end of my questions, and I'm more than thrilled that you spent like this long with me. I'm so glad. Like, thank you guys so much for.
No problem.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you so much.
I wish you guys the best of luck. I hope that you get that Netflix deal. I hope that it turns into something, and I hope to see more stuff from you. I hope to see more of The Mask.
Oh, we will. We'll be working again.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. I'll stay in touch with you guys. Hopefully, I can hit up that premiere.
Yes,
that you're doing,
Lance.
And
you're invited on the internet, and so the whole world can know. Please come.
All right, man. All right. Thanks, guys. Stay in touch, man.
Thank you, man. All right. Bye.
Bye.